Hello everyone and welcome to a new video in our YouTube channel and our IGTV. We're moving on with this preview of the European League of Football Championship game. And in order to do that, we have one of the best players to play in that game, Mr. Justin Rogers of the Hamburg Sea Devils. Justin, thank you very much for being with us. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Thank you very much. So if you're ready, let's just kick this off. You played for the UTEP Miners in college, where you earned Conference USA All-Freshman Team honors. What stands out the most to you, or what is the most valuable thing for you from your time in college?
I would probably say experience. In every field of work, experience is invaluable, and it's something that that always gives you a plus. So playing in football games, I've played in front of 90,000. I've played in front of 18,000. I've played in close games, blowouts. I've played a lot of football being a 4-year starter. So that's always something that's to my advantage. So that's probably what I would take and use the most from my UTEP career.
Fantastic. So tell me, how did the opportunity to play for the Sea Devils present itself, and why did you decide to go play overseas?
So when I was in college, my roommate and fellow cornerback, Nick Needham, he plays for Miami Dolphins currently. His dad played in Munich. He played for the Munich Rangers, and I think he played for one other team in the GFL. And he played for about 8 to 10 years back in his day when he was still playing. He's now a coach, but that was the person who told me about football overseas and told me about European football. And he played with Max Potts, our GM, and he was Max was the offensive coordinator, and Steve is his name. He was the quarterback. So they kept close contact, and they kept in relations, and Max made a call, and he was looking for a corner, and Steve just asked me one day, was I willing to go play football in Germany? And I said, yeah. So the opportunity came up, and now I'm here.
That's fantastic. So you kicked off the regular season with the best record in the league, which you held up to week 8. And after some losses, you managed to rally, finished first in your division, and had a great win over the Panthers in the playoffs. What are your thoughts on your season as a team? And at what point did you realize that you had a chance to contend for the championship?
I mean, going into the season, we all realized that we had the talent to be a good football team. And from there, it's really about locking in and every day pushing yourself to be that team. You know what I mean? It's one thing to say that you're capable of being that team, and then it's another thing to execute and come out every day and be that team. So as a unit, we all decided that that's what we wanted to be. We wanted to be the best team in Europe. And that's the way we've practiced, and that's the way that we've pushed ourselves. So we always kind of knew that we were capable. And as far as the season goes, you want to win every game, of course, but at the same time, you want to experience adversity. And I think there's a lot of things that, we absolutely had some adversity to deal with, but there are some football games and there's some experience, like I mentioned before, there's some experiences that we gained in those losses and in stuff like that. So that will be to our advantage moving forward, I think. You know what I mean? Dealing with adversity and, dealing with losses and, getting back to the drawing board and figuring stuff out is almost more important than winning sometimes. So, of course, you obviously want to win at the end of the day, but if you learn from your loss, it's not a loss. So I think that's something that we did this season. And I think it'll matter when it comes down to it on Sunday. So.
That's awesome. So you had a fantastic season as well and were selected to the ELF All-Star team. What does that mean to you, and what are your thoughts on your season individually?
This is actually the best season of my career statistically. Like, I don't think I've ever had this many turnovers and this many. I mean, maybe I've had some all-purpose yards in college, but personally, this is one of I would say my best season. So to me, it's just it's a good feeling moving forward, knowing that I'm still growing and knowing that every season is like a test. And when you do better on your test than you did the last time, it makes you feel good. So for me, I'm loving that. I'm loving the experience. Being able to go to Berlin and play in an AllStar game and being able to go to Dusseldorf, it's all a new experience for me, considering that this is my first time leaving America. So I'm taking all of it in, and I'm super grateful.
Well, you just mentioned the turnovers, so you finished the regular season tied for first in interceptions, having the least amount of targets out of the three. Is it fair to say that you're the best DB in the league?
Of course it is. But I actually didn't even know that. I didn't even realize that I had the least targets, but I know I don't want to mispronounce their names, but I know the guy from Frankfurt, he did a real good job. He made a lot of good plays. And I want to say Andy is his name. Andy is the other one that's tied for third, correct? Yeah, Andy also Barcelona did a good job defensively as well. They had a lot of turnovers. So yeah, it was cool to finish first. I wanted to finish single as by myself as first, but those guys did a good job and made this made a bunch of good plays throughout the season and tied with me. So that's a super cool thing. It was fun.
That's awesome. So you played the Galaxy twice during the regular season, winning the first one 17-15 and losing the second one 35-9. What are your main takeaways from those two games? And would you say knowing your opponent that much is beneficial leading up to this next game? Or would you rather not have faced them during the regular season so that maybe they don't know you as much?
I love it just the way it is. I think going into the season, everybody considered us favorites as far as getting to Dusseldorf and playing in the inaugural championship. So playing game one, I think was, it couldn't get any better. And then, the finish couldn't have been any better in that first game, especially for us. So I think for the league is great, for, entertainment is great. And them responding in the second game, I think is also great because, it's just like a fight. You watch somebody win a first close fight and then you want to see them fight again. And then they fight the second time and the other person wins and it's like, okay, now they have to fight again. So now we're guaranteed a third fight. And I think, that third fight is always the most interesting. It's hard to beat somebody twice. So, there has to be a winner of this one though. So it'll be interesting.
It will. So what would you say is the main strength of your team?
The main strength of our team, I think, is like I mentioned, is dealing with adversity. Honestly, we've been in a lot of games where things have gone in our way heavily, and then things have gone in the other teams' way heavily. And one thing that we've been able to do all season is pull out games. Like we've been able to pull out of games by inches when it matters, and when it matters, we do a good job of doing what we need to do and securing the win. So I think that's especially something, like I mentioned, it's experience. And if you're not put in those situations, and Frankfurt has been so good, they're just winning all of their games, you know what I mean? Which is, of course, you want to win at the end of the day, but when sometimes you're not put in those situations, it's harder to respond when you haven't done it. So I think our goal is to make it a dogfight, and it will be. And then when it comes down to it, we want to pull the win out, and we feel confident that we're capable of doing that because we've proved that to ourselves earlier in the season. So
what about Frankfurt? What would you say is the main strength of their team?
Frankfurt is first off, they're a talented team. I would say they're probably the most, they're one of the most, if not the most talented team as far as like throughout the roster. They've got a bunch of good players from everywhere. They all do a really good job, especially defensively. I think especially, I think all of those dudes are pretty good. And they also do a really good job of just football is a momentum-based game, and they do a good job of like taking shots and then executing on those shots and getting the crowd involved, getting their crowd involved, getting everybody involved, getting that energy and that momentum and carrying them throughout the game. So I think they do a good job of, and then they just do a good job of making football fun, and they do a good job of getting that momentum on their side. They strike first and then let the game push itself into wherever it goes. So they do a good job of those two things. And defense is, I think, their biggest strength.
Speaking about defenses, you have the best run defense and the second best total defense in the league. However, the Galaxy have, at least statistically, the best offense and the best defense in the league. Do you feel like you're the underdogs in this third matchup in the season?
Absolutely. I feel like people watch the second game and they're like, oh, like this isn't even close. Their first win was a fluke. And that's just not true. And but people will look at the records and they look at the statistics and it'll point that Frankfurt is a much better team. But I think in reality, the people that watch and know football, it will show otherwise. So being an underdog is great. I've always been an underdog personally in my life, and I think I think honestly, it makes it harder on Frankfurt. It makes it harder on Frankfurt to know going into the game that, if you win, you did what you were supposed to do. But if you lose, you let the underdog win. So, everybody loves the underdog story. And I think I like where we're at.
How are you preparing for this championship game individually?
Obviously a lot of film study. I do a lot of different things on offense. Jacob does a good job. Anthony Mahungu does a good job of getting their offense rolling. They also do a good job inside. For me personally, just watch film, get my body ready, get my mind ready. This is the biggest game of the season. Not just because it's the number one versus the quote unquote number two team, but also we're going up to Dusseldorf playing in front of 25,000 plus people, inaugural championship. So it's more at this point a mental thing. And so I'm definitely sharpening my mental and just being prepared to be in that environment. You know what I mean? Being prepared to make plays in an environment like that and will my team to a win. So
that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about you. What are your plans for the future, and are you planning on maybe returning to the US and take a shot at the NFL?
Absolutely. The NFL has always been a dream of mine, since I was a little boy. That's why I got into football in the first place, So that is my plan. I plan on going back. Maybe I could get some workouts, whether it's CFL, XFL will be back this year, and maybe NFL, any chance I get at the NFL, I will most likely take, you know what I mean? XFL and CFL are the same. I'm just a football guy, and I'll just keep playing football. And that's it. I'll just keep training. I'll be working with a few different people, maybe working with agents to see if I can land workouts here and there. But that's my plan for right now. Right now, my goal. I'll have more on that a little later, but right now I'm focused on winning this championship. So.
This has been truly fantastic. Thank you very much for being with us. For everyone who has been listening up to this point, please go follow us on our social networks at Endzoners on Twitter, Endzoners.ok on Facebook and IG. And Justin, please do remind everyone of your social networks so that everyone can go follow you.
Oh yeah, King Hassan, KingHaasan. That's on all social media platforms: Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever you want to add me and talk to me on. Y'all go follow me there.
That's fantastic. So once again, thank you very much for being with us, and best of luck in this championship game.
Thank you. I appreciate it.